So yeah, basically, Doctor Morbius is the Doctor, and the monster's name is Jared Leto.
You know, people keep on talking about intros that they will never skip. I will never skip that intro.
It's up there with Peacemaker, right? Like,
oh
wait, we went from 3 viewers to 0, and I am watching this on my phone. I guess not.
All right, well, cheers.
Mistake.
Cheers to all those not out there.
Yeah, we have. All right, this is real good. It's saying we have 0 viewers, but we're getting comments. So I think the stream herd is fucked up tonight.
I can't even see us. Oh, wait, there we go. There we go.
Love that theme. See, there's one.
Hey, Buck.
Awesome. Thank you, Buck. All right, yeah, well, we got a great topic tonight, one that I thought up, and yet have not necessarily that much to contribute to the conversation. So I figure let's before we dive into that, let's talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
AJ, what have you been up to? What are you doing?
I mean, it's basically been the topic. I've been at work, but I did actually see Morbius this weekend.
Why?
Morbid curiosity, and that was not even an attempt at wordplay. Like, people are saying it's not even, good bad. It's bad. It is. It's if you're out there and you like Morbius, I don't want to hate on something that you like. Just want to get that out there. But it has one of the most confounding logic problems I've ever heard in a movie. So do you guys care if I spoil Morbius for you?
Go right ahead.
I won't see it for a while.
Well,
sure.
I was going to ask before you said, it's like, is it worth Bethy and I going and seeing and then immediately coming in hot and doing a drunk review? Is it worth that? Or is it just not even fun enough?
Matt Smith is fun enough. He almost, that man has so much charisma that goes into the vacuum that is Jared Leto. It's like a black hole that he just sucks it out of the room until about halfway through. Like the first half, Matt Smith is fun. But there's this point where after he's become a vampire, right? So he has to go out into international waters to do a super dangerous illegal experiment that he can't get caught. So he's in international waters, right? And also he has to get blood every 6 hours or he'll die, right? So that's set up. There's a point in which he jumps out of the boat and starts swimming to New York from international waters. Now think about this. He's got 6 hours. You see him start swimming like normal, right? How fast do you have to swim? He's like a schooner just zipping across the Atlantic Ocean. They don't show this. He's got to be like Hasselhoff in SpongeBob the movie, just and that's all I could think about for probably the next half hour of the movie.
Nice.
And if I'm making this seem in any way entertaining, trust me, this movie is, for me, no. Is Matt Smith in any of the trailers? I didn't watch any of the trailers intentionally, and I kind of
How did you avoid them? They were on every fucking movie I've seen in theaters for the past 2 years.
I zoned the hell out. I did not actively pay attention.
That's what I was happiest about Morbius being released, is I could stop seeing the damn trailer before every movie I see.
It is just, to me, it's a joyless experience.
I hate that. I don't even know. We have AMC A-list. I don't even know if it's worth taking the time and buying a popcorn at the movie theater for. We don't pay for the movies. We can go see them. I don't even know if it's worth the gas money.
Yeah, it's an hour 45. It goes by pretty quick. The post credits that you're hearing about.
Fine.
The post credits that you're hearing about are as dumb as people say they are.
Jeez.
Yes, the CGI is rough. That's been my week. How about you guys?
Well, as I'm sure most of you who watched the show know, it was my wedding anniversary this weekend. So I had a lovely weekend. Bethany and I got to stay at one of our favorite resorts over at Universal Cabana Bay Beach Resort. Spent a lot of day just lounging around on the lazy river there. So we were having a good time, enjoying some tasty beverages here and there. Had a nice Italian dinner. So we had a very lovely night. Kind of made it a little bit smaller, just the two of us, rather than making a big fiasco out of it. So we both needed some downtime. It's been crazy here with what seems to be a never-ending spring break in Orlando. So it was nice to have the day for the two of us to just kind of chill out.
Nice, dude. You guys deserve it.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been rough. Like, I don't know if how much anybody who watches is aware, but like typically any given year, spring break usually lasts for colleges and elementary schools and stuff like that, about 2 to 3 weeks, and then you get hit again for Easter. Well, this year, basically the entire month of March and the entire month of April, people are treating a spring break. So it's been just balls to wall, crazy attendance, people everywhere. Traffic is insane. It's been a rough couple of weeks here. So if you are somebody planning a trip to Orlando, do not come in March or April because it's just way too crowded.
Yeah, I know some people that are down there right now. Yeah, it is.
If you're coming in June, just let us know as well.
June's not quite so bad because, well, I can tell you exactly why. June, but it's hot. It's hot as hell. However, a good chunk of the Northeast is still in school until like the third week of June. So if you come in the beginning of June, a lot of kids are still in school. So it's not quite as bad. If you go beginning of July to August, another story.
Oh, good to know if someone was going to plan a week around that. But yeah,
you don't awesome. Say.
I've been working on. I've got me and my friend were at this bar a weekend or so ago, and my friend's like, dude, this guy plays guitar. You gotta have him. And, we're starting to talk stupid a little, and he's like, yeah. How about Good Friday? We're like, oh, okay. I'll write you down. So I booked a show apparently. Friday, Good Friday, next week Friday, guitar show. I gotta get ready for it. But it was so funny because we're just talking stupid, like, I guess I can play. Like, I don't really know, like, what? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. And then I text the guy, like, I had to get it cleared from work. So that was the thing. It was like it's a tentative yes until I like no. So like I sent the guy a text message yesterday, and I'm like, all right, work's good. I'm in. Let's are you still? Is this okay? All he sends back is like, yep. This is like a real boomer. Old guy, and I'm like, all right, yeah, well, I'm gonna come in sometime and check out like sound tech, we can get that stuff figured out. Just no response. Like, all right, great. He's just like, yep, show up.
So the big question with the prep for that, do we have any new material going into the set?
Not any new material from what I had the last time.
Gotcha.
But I'm always working on new stuff, as I did have a new video this weekend.
We saw, yeah.
So
we'll make sure before the end of the night we throw the link up for that in the chat for certain. If you haven't checked out Justin's new video, The Ballad of Billy Lee.
So good.
And I will admit, I told the guys listening to our group chat, I saw that, and I got really excited first because everyone knows I'm a big Billy Joel fan. I'm like, he did the Ballad of Billy the Kid? I mean, I still was very happy when I saw it. I was like, did you just do a Billy Joel cover? And I was like, oh, well, this is awesome too.
We're going to need a full Piano Man, harmonica, and guitar cover. I am really sorry.
might see some Billy Joel if you are in Wisconsin next Friday night
That's an endorsement
at
right
the
there.
bar. But I will have to talk to Chris Clark because he was just asking me about playing for the next Spectacular again with them. So I know we briefly talked a little bit about Piano Man, but I'll have to see.
Oh,
That's a thing.
that would be sick. Oh, I guess we're getting into the topic. I mean, just we're talking work stories. Give a little bit of background, I guess, for all of us, like before we dive into like the individual stories, places we've worked, that kind of thing. So for me, I am now officially in my 30s, which is still an existential nightmare. Hey, millennials. But I've only had 4 jobs my entire life that were like, besides like, odd jobs, that kind of thing. But so my very first job, 16 years old, manager of the Kmart Garden Center in Hastings, Nebraska. Went straight from there to work at Jimmy John's for about 4 years or so. Most of that was as a delivery driver, so some great stuff there. Went from there to now defunct tea company, so loose leaf tea for Tivana, and now I run a fragrance store. So I've had 4 jobs technically. Technically, but I'll have to talk about actually one that doesn't technically count because I was paid in cash. You guys know those nail kiosks in the mall? The ones it's the Israeli guys, and they're like, the Dead Sea Minerals kiosks. They have the nail kits, and like, hey, a sample for you and your beautiful sister. And I did that as well for cash. So that's the other job, technically, is I worked at the Israeli Dead Sea Minerals kiosk.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that is.
Man. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, my first name is Aaron. My boss's name was Moses. He had fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Middle-aged Israeli guy named Moses. Moses and Aaron. We are brothers, yeah? Yeah? Do you see the resemblance? It's so wrong. So filthy.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh God. Those places are such a scam. I did it for like a month. I was out. So that's my one of my fun odd jobs I've had throughout the years. Justin, what's your resume? Are you prepared for this interview? Do you want this job?
Thanks to thanks to Facebook, I got like it all right there. My first job was in high school during a summer, working with my friends doing landscaping, and you'd think that'd be a great time, with your friends, but like,
no.
I'm not like very strong. Like I don't have a great manpower work ethic. I have a great work ethic when it comes to certain things, but now when it comes to like shoveling stuff like that. So I got very made fun of. My friends and I fought a lot. We did not have a good time. So that wasn't great. But then I went and did some. I've done some like political survey jobs that paid pretty well. And then I did a factory, Johnsonville sausage factory work before college. Whatever.
So did you see how the sausage was made?
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I came in just for that joke. It summoned me. Hi, friends. I'm here. Let's talk jobs.
Yes. So like I stood like at the line, and just like 100,000 sausages were just flying at you, and you had to like somehow like layer them in like 5 in a box or whatever, and it was
sounds
insane.
like I Love Lucy kind of thing.
You'd have we have like a great Hmong population in the area, and like these like 80-year-old ladies would just be like it'd be like perfect. And I'm like throwing them like off the top of my head, like trying to get them like just somewhat straight. And these ladies are just like Mr. Miyagi. So that was
Wait, so
miserable.
how old were you when you were working in a sausage
You said
factory?
Mr. Miyagi drink.
18.
18. Oh, is that a drinking game today? Anytime someone says Mr.
Well, that's
Miyagi,
the Cobra.
we drink?
That's the Cobra Kai drinking game. Anytime Daniel says Miyagi, you have to drink.
Oh, that's true. That is what we play, and you get really drunk. So you're 18 working in it. What a cool 18-year-old you were, though. You were working in a sausage factory.
It was good. I had to ask off for my own high school graduation, and my boss was like, "You're in high school?" That was great. But what you were gonna say, AJ?
Nothing. It's like hundreds of thousands of sausage flying at you. My mind just goes straight to.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So then I went to a year of college. I didn't work in college. Came home. I worked a couple months at the sausage factory again. I almost got fired for showing up late because it was very early in the morning, and I'm not a morning person. And I'm living on my brother's couch, and it just wasn't a great time. And I didn't want to be there. It was not fun. It's not how I want to spend my summer, 3 months of summer. And so I showed up late, and so I get a call like an hour late, and they're like, "All right, just come in. You might not have a job when you get here." On the drive, I'm like, if I got fired, that would be awesome. I wouldn't have to do this anymore. And so I get there, and they're like, "All right, you're not fired. Get in." And I'm like, you know what? I put my 2 weeks in. I quit. So I got fired before, I quit before I could get fired. But
I like it.
Are you keeping
Back to
your sensei headband on the entire stream? Yeah. Okay, just clarifying.
So we're pretty much covering all my stories here because I don't have many. But yeah, so then I quit that. Went back to college, dropped out of college, and then we get the family video. Which was
Oh, yeah.
great.
Okay, the video, everyone drink.
Did some family video. I did some more political surveys just for some
Danny,
extra
you're right
cash.
on time.
And then is when I got offered one of the jobs that I have today, which is the assistant to the youth director
Assistant to the regional manager?
at the church that I'm at today. So that was a little bit after high school, or college. So that was great. Did some more weird stuff. And then to be like a little second nighttime job, I picked up, started working in the restaurant bar, and that's pretty much where we're at today. Worked up, now the bartender there, and it's a great time. So still doing the church and the bar at the same time. A great little juxtaposition, little dichotomy there. But
actually, not really. But it's the place where the two places where people confess the most.
That's true.
So
correct.
Yeah.
That's fact.
just two different forms of
Cry.
confessionals.
And cry, Yeah.
That's great.
They drink wine?
Yeah, there's wine. Is drunk at both places. It's really, actually, the more I think of it, the more is the similarities.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically the same thing. I like that really this is the true success story of how you can start off having to ask off for your own high school graduation from the sausage factory to, being where you are now. It's a started from the bottom, now we're here.
It's great.
Kind of story.
Yeah, and that's where so I was so bad at landscaping, they made me just go water plants is basically where this comes from. But I also remember, I forgot that I also worked in Jacob Whitnaben's dad's auto shop for a little bit as well.
Jacob Whitnaben's dad, who we want to invite on the show because we think that he's cooler than his son.
We thought we'd get canceled.
Mr. Whitnaben, if you're watching.
If you're available, sir.
He's in Florida. He's in Florida right now.
What part?
Come on down.
I don't know.
The price is right.
Probably Orlando. They're probably.
Where else do people go to when they go to Florida? Listen, if he's anywhere in the area, in a, like hour radius, I will go and find this man.
Things just got way more
That
interesting.
is a threat.
And his sister, who is much cooler than Jacob.
Oh, and his
Are we
sister.
just throwing Jacob down?
The entire family sounds like real quality.
No, he'd admit that. But they're all there. Not Jacob. He's still here.
He's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, sorry. That took so long, but that was probably about all the stories that I have. I maybe have one or two more, but
Oh yeah, we'll dive in.
We'll start from that.
So, before we go into the Deacons, Bethany, you weren't on screen for this, and it didn't land with the gentleman.
I wish it was.
So I'm just going to tell you real quick. I had a cash gig working at the Israeli nail kiosk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just it.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
What a sample for you.
What is the difference between a nail kiosk and an Israeli nail kiosk? Just curious.
The Dead Sea Minerals ones.
Oh,
yeah. That was a cash side gig for me at one point.
How much cash on the side did you rake in working that?
So it was $50 plus $50 for the day plus $50 for every 500 I sold, and I made so much money I quit out of guilt.
So what you're saying is you were good at this. I think you should have stayed.
That's one way to put it.
No, absolutely not. I'm not going to incriminate myself. Not going to incriminate the people involved. But the other fun part was my boss was a middle-aged guy named Moses. And it was Moses and Aaron. Yeah. He used to tell people that we were brothers.
No, really.
And he kind of talked like he kind of talked with the same cadence and almost like slightly lisped accent as Hank Azaria in the Birdcage. It was a great time. But I just
sounds like a great time.
It's usually a confession when I tell people that I'm working there, but because they've harassed so many women, I'm like, yeah, I'm so sorry that I've done this. So I had to apologize to you on screen. By the way, streamlabs.com/whattheshow. All funds will be going to the Ukrainian Women's Fund this month. That is a segue.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful segue into the charity for the month of April.
Yes. So the Deacons.
April, my favorite month, our anniversary month. My birthday is in a few days. It's a great month. April, everyone. Great charity, great month. Happy to be here. Tons of work stories. Can I just say, I have a very good memory. And when this was brought up, I was like, oh, I've got like a billion great work stories. Have I been able to think of like any? No. And I have been racking my brain.
Same.
I know that I have some. Like, I know that they're just the most like ridiculous, funny, good things. And I have not been able to think of like anything. So I've come up with a couple of just like, I don't know, mildly entertaining. I'm really selling this right now. Mildly entertaining stories to share this evening because and I'm sure once we finish this episode, I'll think of some. So if at any point in the next month I just come back and I'm like, hey guys, I've thought of a thing.
Or we'll throw them on the Twitter.
I'll put them out. But I was like, I know I have good stories. I have worked some weird jobs in some weird parts of town, and that made it sound sketch. It wasn't anything sketch. I worked in college town.
In a weird part of town.
And I had some of the most interesting, funny interactions with people. And you think I can think of any? No. I'm gonna save what I think is one. It's like kind of a work story. I'm gonna save that one for later because I think it's my best one. But just to go ahead and get a couple of movie theater ones out of the way, because we got to do it. We got to talk about the movie theater. Everyone get a drink. It's happening when
Prepare
I was
for
at the movie
me.
theater. So a couple interesting things. Here's one. As we all know, because I've talked about it ad nauseum before, I was a projectionist in the movie theater for a while. And a few things about that. One is, to this day, I will wake up in a cold sweat thinking about brain wraps. because it just stresses me out.
Describe what a
lot.
brain wrap is,
So,
like, for someone who doesn't know what that means.
In layman's terms, for someone who's not a projectionist, essentially, so there's a part so when you're threading film, you have to thread it. It's on basically like a platter, and you have to thread it into the projector. So the
center
top of the platter, the center of the platter is like this little device, and you call it a brain, essentially. And it's the first thing that you go to thread it through. So here it is on this big
it controls
thing,
the flow of it.
and it basically, it's like kind of moves almost like a sprinkler, sort of, like
yeah,
a little
it's
bit.
on a spring.
And it just kind of moves. It's supposed to move very like methodically, slowly paced, whatever. Well, sometimes basically it gets messed up, either because the person threaded it incorrectly, or again, because it's a piece of machinery, and all machinery basically can get messed up.
There was something called a chemical splice that occasionally happened if you had a film that was not improperly put together, but that means they ran out of film and they had to basically essentially glue it together.
Yeah.
In layman's terms. And a lot of times when that went through a projector like that, if you didn't catch it ahead of time, it would just snap in half.
Yes.
So if you ever went to a movie, and the screen just went white, that's what happened.
Also none. Although when I was a projectionist, I got asked this a lot, and I was like, no one does that. Well, I shouldn't say no. I'm sure someone out there, no one at my theater ever did that. But anyways,
I think someone in the great state of Florida actually got caught doing that like a year or two after Fight Club was on home video. Don't quote me on it.
Pretty much anyone who, lots of Fight Club references, if you tell people what you do for a living, that you're a projectionist.
100%.
But essentially brain wraps. So why they give so much anxiety is because, it can mess up an entire, you might have to issue refunds if it gets bad enough. You could literally, at the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, we burnt the shit out of it because there was a really bad brain wrap. Sometimes you'd catch it, and it was because essentially an alarm would sound. So if you're working projection, an alarm would sound, and it would, I had like a board, and it would tell you which one it was. So it'd be like an alarm, so it would, a little light would show up, basically. She's like 14, okay, house 14. So you'd go over to that projector, and sure enough, and if you caught it early, it wasn't that big of a deal. But there were times that it was like, two projectionists, a manager, you're up there and whatever. And it just to this day gives me anxiety, thinking of it. The sound of that alarm, could just, oh man, could just give me just so much anxiety.
I want to jump in real quick just because it's a very similar story. It's a movie that's not very well known. It's called Gods and Generals. Came out, if I remember correctly, in 2002.
I've seen that.
Or 2003, yeah. It's a really long movie. It's it had an intermission. It had an intermission in theaters, and the very first showing of it, my movie theater was in Manassas, which is a famous battleground from the Civil War, and so my theater was one of the only theaters in the country that had a really high demand for that movie because people could go see the battlegrounds like a 2-minute drive from it. So we had a sold out show, the first showing of the day on Friday. And it brain wrapped twice in the first 20 minutes. They had to pull. I was actually not working in projection that day. I was on the floor. They had to grab me and 2 managers in addition to the projectionist working to fix this brain wrap because it was that bad.
Janice asking some interesting questions, actually. Since y'all worked at a theater, do y'all have any pet peeves when you attend as a consumer now?
Shitload.
Yeah, for sure. I think, if you've ever... my biggest thing as someone who, because I literally worked every position at the theater, which is not uncommon. If you work at a theater long enough and if you're a good enough employee,
you get trained at everything.
You get trained at pretty much everything. But my biggest thing is, which I'm going to get to a story about one of my biggest things, which is coming up here. I'm going to talk about Avengers Weekend. I worked the opening of the very first Avengers, which is the very first movie that ever made $200 million at the box office. And boy, did I feel it. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, some of my pet peeves with that. But my biggest thing is probably people leaving a mess, not cleaning up after themselves.
Simple.
I get that people get paid, whatever. But to clean up a few popcorn kernels that have fallen on the ground. I mean, this is the same thing for anywhere, restaurants, going to a grocery store, put your shit back. I worked at a grocery store for many years. I will never, ever, ever not put my cart back on the little cart return thing because I used to have to collect those out of the parking lot in the god awful Florida summer thunderstorms, whatever. So just clean up after yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard.
Do you ever do it for them and maintain eye contact? Because I do that shit.
I mean, I clean my stuff up. I don't maintain eye contact.
If you see somebody
the thing
else,
I want to
leaves in
do,
a popcorn bucket, do you pick up the popcorn bucket bucket and make eye contact? Because I do.
No, I can't say I've done that. You know what I do want to do though? And I always used to say I would do this and I still haven't and I'm going to. We used to call it Usher Gold, which is when you would be cleaning a theater and you would find unopened candy because you're like, okay, I can eat this, you know? And so I always said, I just want to go buy like, you know, $1 candy from the store and like put a little Post-it note on it and leave it in the cup holder and just be like, thanks, have a great day. And like leave them candy, like purposely buy candy for the ushers because it's like a shitty, thankless job. And you get a lot of things spoiled for you by end credits. Thanks, Marvel, for that. But yeah, so that's my biggest thing. People complaining, like being really rude to theater employees, like complaining about prices and stuff. Like we said it, which again, I know like I feel like this should be really obvious to people, but the reason things are so expensive at the movie theater is because that's the money that they're making. The ticket that you bought does not go to the theater, like 75 cents of it does. It's going to obviously the movie, you know, the box office, the studio. So if you enjoy the theatrical experience, I will never complain about buying, you know, an overpriced popcorn because that's what keeps my movie theater in business. I understand that. And I also understand that the poor concessionists and also just like, if you know it's going to be a busy like opening weekend, and now it's a lot better because of things like, you know, the reserved seating, but back in the day, for instance, like people used to like just bitch at us over everything, like waiting in line, doing and again, like, people go to theme parks every day and will wait 3 hours for a 4-minute experience. But I used to tell people to wait outside for like 20 minutes so they can enjoy a 2.5-hour movie. And I would get my head ripped off. So just like be nice to, you know, the weekend we went and saw Spider-Man, the No Way Home. That's the most recent one. They all have homes. I get confused. You know, the big one. That was a big juggernaut. We literally just like thanked all of our movie theater people. We're like, thank you so much. Good luck to you this weekend. Like, because like, I'm like, I've been there. I worked with Avengers. Like, I worked so many Harry Potters, Twilights. Like,
let's make that a challenge on Twitter. When you go see Doctor Strange opening weekend, thank your employee.
Yeah, thank you, movie theater employee. They're working hard for your entertainment.
I think we keep on bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we will until May. We're gonna keep bringing that up once a week until Doctor Strange comes out. It's gonna be our mission. Get it trending, y'all. But send it to the internet.
How was it, Danny?
Yeah, how was it? The other thing,
so many good things,
is that I'm a little afraid to go see Sonic 2 because last time I saw a Sonic movie and the world ended. So like, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be worth it. We'll see. But the other thing that bothers me now as a film nerd is that everything is digital. Like that does make me really sad because I was a project. Like that makes me so sad that that's like a dead art.
It's basically extinct position.
I know some places still have film projectors or some directors still film on film and
most multiplexes don't anymore.
Most of them are all digital. So that does bother me. And you can kind of tell. I know it looks good. I'm not saying it looks bad, but I miss little scratches and little things that let you know it was on film. I miss that, like the little imperfections, little like pop and sound sometimes, and all that kind of stuff makes me very sad.
There's something so nostalgic anymore about seeing a cigarette burn on a movie screen.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the equivalent like today to like vinyl versus digital recordings. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing because it's vinyl, you hear all the digital, they edit out the imperfections. Vinyl, you hear everything.
I like a lot of imperfection.
Do you guys have an always on film theater? Do you know, like in the Orlando area? Or
there is a private one that it's not like one of the chains.
Smaller owned places. There's one back in Gainesville as well that still like went downtown that was like very tiny. Technically, it was our theater. Like our like live theater, and they also had a couple of projections and they would show some movies. But sorry, reading Danny's thing here. But talking about my others, so one more like little projection thing, and then I'll talk about Avengers, which I'll get into a couple of my like pet peeves, and also just kind of I think for sure like the craziest weekend I ever worked at a movie theater was that, which also it's interesting because again, I know there's been obviously bigger movies that have come out now that have had much bigger box offices than Avengers, but it was the first one to gross 200 million. And also like things are different now. And again, still please thank your movie theater employees when you go see Doctor Strange. But again, because of the way the seating is now and like so many different things, like you don't have that like queuing, like the way that, again, like Harry Potter midnights were for us, or again, because everything is digital, projectionists don't have to interlock films like we used to. My theater was a 14-house theater. And when we would get something like a Harry Potter or Twilight in, it was College Town. So we would do midnights and we would do 3 a.m. Screenings. And so we were getting out of work at like 5, 6 a.m. We would all basically just be like so wired, like you were so tired, but also so wired that no one could ever just go home and go to sleep. So we'd go to like Steak and Shake or Waffle House and all just like decompress and
Denny's
tell stories. And then you would go home, you'd sleep until like 3 or 4 o'clock that afternoon. And then you'd wake up and you'd have to work all night again, do it again. So it was just crazy. But that very first night when we had the midnights, again, this was back in like during proper midnights when it wouldn't come out until midnight, none of the 7 or 8 o'clock kind of stuff.
But it'd be every screen in the theater started at
every
midnight.
Single screen started at midnight, and then every single screen started at 3 a.m. And of course, we weren't actually getting 14 prints of Harry Potter. So you would get, let's say, like 7 or 8 prints, and then you had to do this thing called interlocking. And so you literally would take a print and it would run through 3 different theaters. So when you hit start on one projector, it would then, so everyone was like on like a basically like 2-second delay. So like theater like 7, 8, and 9 were all on one print of a movie. So that also is very stressful if you were working like projection on it like that. Another weird thing about the town that I worked in the movie theater is in Gainesville, there's at the time there's 2 Regals. There's actually now 3 Regals in town because they built another one, another big like Cineplex. But at the time it was 2 of them. And so of course, since it was owned and operated by the same company, we didn't compete against each other. So if they had Avatar, we didn't, so on and so forth, right? But certain smaller films, we might, let's say we were getting a big film in, like it was about to be Avengers or something opening weekend, right? So we'd be trying to getting rid of some of our smaller films in our smaller houses so we could have as many possible houses to play Avengers. So because we're both owned by Regal, they had Royal Park had 16 screens. And so they'd be like, oh, we have room to take a couple of those. Like there's still some money to be made off of those
one
movies.
Show a day.
So we'd move them to the other theater in town. So this is how we would do it. This was like, when I think about it now, I'm like, this was a lot of responsibility for like a 20-year-old 20-year-old dumb college kid to be responsible for.
Several $1,000 print.
So these prints cost about $10,000 on average, is what like a movie print costs, okay? And they trusted my dumb ass. And I got, because on Thursday nights, I was, again, there are usually 2 projectors, 2 projectionists, because one would be actually running the films that night, and the other one would be building films or moving prints over to Royal Park or breaking down films because they were done with their run, right? So anyways, on Thursday nights, because I happen to have a Jeep Grand Cherokee and I was a projectionist, for some reason, this 20-year-old dumb kid was trusted to take $10,000 prints across town. So we would leave it built so we wouldn't break it down because it was about to be used. So like, what's the point of breaking down just so the other projectionists, across town have to build it? So we put it in what was called a print pocket, which basically was just this big yellow thing that like it fit mostly in, but would still hang out like a little bit. And it was like on wheels and it had 2 handles. So me and another projectionist would take it downstairs of our movie theater at like 1 o'clock on a Thursday, 1 a.m. on a Thursday, evening or technically Friday morning. And then I would go into the parking lot with, again, something that is worth $10,000. Just me. No one is around me. I am all 5'4", like 110 pounds, or whatever in college. And I would take it and they're quite heavy. And so another projectionist would help me.
I was gonna mention that, like a print, say it's a 2-hour movie, if it's assembled, that weighed about probably 60 to 75 pounds.
Yeah, like they're heavy and it's very delicate. You move it and it's all going to unravel and tangle.
That was heavy and awkward. It's also
they're so awkwardly shaped.
There's like not a way to carry this easily.
If you slip when you're trying to move one and the middle ring comes out, the whole thing will unravel. That happened. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers dropped a print once. It took us 5 hours to put it back together. So that tells you what you need to know.
So then I put it in my trunk of my, the back of my Jeep Grand Cherokee. I get in my car. I drive 15 minutes down the road to the other movie theater. Then I take it out of my car by myself because like we'd call them like they knew it was coming, but still they didn't know exactly when I'd be there. So there I am taking this heavy print out of my car by myself. And I literally would wheel it up in the parking lot. It's now like, 1:30 in the morning. Knock on. So of course the movie theater is closed, but there's still workers there. So I would knock on the door and there'd be a manager like out in the lobby, usually, you know, like doing counts or whatever. And they'd see me, they'd let me in, they'd help me lift it up to the projection booth up there. So I'd have to walk it up a flight of stairs. And then after that, I'd be like, all right, y'all have a good night. I hope you guys enjoy running that movie. It's in good shape. Okay, bye. And then I'd go back to my movie theater and clock out. And I was like, I don't know why I was trusted with that. That's really crazy. And I would do that like all the time. Like, pretty much every other week we had to move things, or sometimes we'd have to like the vice versa, like they'd come to us. So we moved things there more just because they had more screens basically. So it tended to work that way, that we would move things to them. Yeah, I'll quickly talk about Avengers Weekend and then I'll let some other people talk. I have one Applebee's story. It's quick. That'll be at the end. I'll say that for the end of the show.
Wait, you worked at Applebee's?
Huh?
You worked at Applebee's?
For 4 years.
Oh.
I actually have a couple of stories. Most of them involve, again, I was in a college town where a lot of college athletes thought that they were the shit and thought that they could like boss around people. It happened a few times at the movie theater too, but definitely a lot more at Applebee's. I actually used to have to, Friday nights, if it was a home game, the football team would come, they would get their own private screening of a movie. Because that was the thing. They did team dinner, they went to a movie, and then they all had to go stay at a hotel. So that way they could basically check in that they like went to bed on time, you know? So even though it was a home game and they weren't leaving Gainesville, like they stayed all together. Because it was like, you know, lights out by 10 o'clock or whatever for game nights. So they used to call us up early in the week. Like one of the people would call us up and be like, hey, the team would like to see this. And we would just like make up a show time, like whatever time they wanted to. Because again, it usually had to be earlier in the evening. Because they had, you know, curfew or whatever. And so they would all come in, they'd have bottles of water and like little small popcorns ready for them in the theater. And then you had to start that. So of course it was like a weird start time. Like it wasn't like the rest of your, like everything has like very like set start times in a movie theater. Right. So that like, you know, sometimes you have to switch a projector between flat and scope. And so one time I started a movie and it was still in flat and it was a scope movie. And I was just like so thrown off because it was like a random 6:15 start time because Florida's coming in and they need to watch this movie so they can go to Betty Bye. And so I was like, yeah. So I go to start that and then I'm like doing my other things. And I had a Wacky on me all the time. My manager Wackies me and she's like, Bethany? And I'm like, And she's like, you've got to switch that in scope. And I was like, oh God. So whatever. So I was like, well, if the Gators lose tomorrow, it's all my fault. I messed up their movie. They won, so it was fine.
if people don't know the difference, scope and flat, I'm sure most people watching this show probably would. It's the aspect ratio. So back in the day when CRT TVs were a big thing, you used to have DVDs that were shown in full screen and widescreen. So
wide is basically like full screen.
Yeah, so it's the aspect ratio. It's funny how back in the day when both of us were at the theaters, the scope was usually bigger because it was longer.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it actually looks bigger on flat because they just letterbox it in the theaters. But it used to be different back in the day. That scope
like
was
the Snyder Cut.
But because of IMAX cameras, scope actually looks smaller now, and a lot of movies that are filmed in IMAX, they show in the flat aspect ratio in theaters. So
fun fact about Avengers Weekend, not only was it the most insane weekend I've ever to the movie theater, but it was also the weekend that my eldest sister got married. She got married that weekend because both my sister and my brother-in-law work in athletics. They work for Florida. Fun fact, pretty much the only time they can guarantee that one of them will not be busy with a sport at all is during finals week. And that was when Avengers came out because it was they got married on May 3rd and Avengers came out on May 4th.
Yep.
And that was finals week essentially. And so of course, because they're student athletes, you cannot require them to participate in sports during their finals week. So my sister and brother-in-law purposely planned to get married during that time because it was, it was a nice spring wedding, but also because they knew like sports cannot interrupt our wedding. You won't have a basketball. I won't have a softball. I won't, whatever. So they knew they would have time to get their wedding and their honeymoon done basically during this time. Right. So my manager was an absolute crazy person, even though we're all college kids, was like, this movie's coming out and you don't get off Christmas because And she was very strict about that. Like if a big movie was coming out, like you couldn't get off. And I was like, it's my sister's wedding and I am in her wedding. And she's like, you think this wedding's gonna last? And I was like, yeah. And also, like, what? Who's like,
Who
yeah.
says
just
This
straight up
lady
say that
was
shit?
Sasha Swan. I'm certain you're not watching this, but if you are, fuck you. She was a crazy bitch, and we all hated
Sasha
her.
Swan, if
Also-
you are watching, we will have you on the show next week.
Also, yeah, we will have you on the show. There are some things I'd like to say to you.
I will
Also,
pay
she
you $100
was
if you
born
come on
and
the show
raised.
next week.
Hear this
You're
shit. If
watching
anyone knows
Sasha-
anything about college football, prepare to get riled up because me and my friend Mike and Xavier, this used to piss us off so much. I'm sorry that I'm going on a tangent now about my old boss, but she was born and raised in Texas. She went to Texas, okay? She went to Texas, was very proud of the fact that she was a Texas Longhorn. Her diploma was up in her office. This bitch loved Texas, okay? So one week, you know, me and my friends, Mike and Xavier, were always talking about the Gators, big college football fans, you know, college town, da, da, da. So, you know, we're like trying to like approach her as a human being. And it's, you know, a big rivalry game for her. Texas is playing Oklahoma. And so, also, by the way, this is terrible, but the movie Black Swan came out when I was working in the movie theater, and she was a black woman, and her name was Miss Swan, and we had a lot of fun with that. But anyways.
Miss Swan? Did she look like a man?
What, did she look like a man? No, she looks like not a man. She looks like a woman.
Okay, that's
Oh,
bad TV.
okay.
That's over here. That's all
Yeah.
the way over here.
So this business, Texas and Oklahoma are playing, right? It's called the Red River Rivalry. It is a rivalry. I can't even talk. It's a tongue twister. I'm sorry, everyone. It is a big effing deal in college football, okay? And apparently it's a Mad TV reference. Thanks, Billy. Anyways, so we're like, oh, Miss Swan, like, big game this weekend. You know, I'm sure you're pulling for your Longhorns, da, 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 da. And she's like, Oklahoma's not our rival. And we're like, bitch, it is. How are you born and raised in Texas, went to Texas, and you do not know? So anyways, she was dead to us after that. And like, we would just talk about that all the time. We're like, remember when Miss Swan didn't think that Oklahoma was their rival? Like, and she's like, Texas Tech is our rival. And I'm like, you can have more than one rival. And two, it's Oklahoma and Texas. They are rivals. And it's just a certifiable fact. Anyways, I could get riled up about that all day. Let's get back to Vendors Weekend. So anyways, she was a bitch to me. She also almost didn't get me out for my grandma's funeral, but that's another story. Twilight was coming out during that time, in case anyone's wondering. And I was like, oh, my grandma's funeral.
Oh, this is a good
but anyways, so she was very serious about this movie theater. And so anywho, so she basically, thank God, my sister got married on a Thursday. So she was like, well, I'll give you off on Thursday. You can miss the midnights, but you better be back. Yeah, I mean, things that I can rant about. Disney, my hatred for Bob Chapek, how Chris Nolan is a hack, and college football. Those are the things that get me real riled up. So anywho, so I feel like I've talked for like 5 years. I'm sorry. Other people can share stories in a minute, I swear. But anywho, give us a name. Exactly, Billy. Thank you. It's the Red River Rivalry. It's a big deal. Anyways, so, where was I? So she's like, I'll give you off Thursday. Like, it's a big, like, get a big ask that I get off for my own sister's wedding. By the way, Miss Swan, they're still married. Okay, so fuck you. But anywho, so she's like, so I have Thursday off. Wedding's in Dane City, which is a couple hours away from Gainesville. So I have the wedding Friday morning. I drive back, and then I have to work like nonstop the rest of the weekend, right? And it's also, fun fact, of course, if it was finals week, that means it's also graduation week. And so graduation week in Gainesville is insane. So not only is it the biggest movie of all time, basically it's about to hit us, but on top of that, people are graduating. It's just a madhouse. We're parking in the Walmart parking lot, walking to get to the theater. It's insane. So anyhow, crazy weekend. We're running out of soda left and right. Again, there I am, like the mule of Regal, driving over to the other Regal to get bibs of Coke. Also heavy, by the way. Driving back and forth,
like
sweating.
30 pounds.
It was like raining half the time because it's May in Florida. So it's 90 degrees and it's raining. People are having to ask to wait outside. This was back in the day, of course, when you like printed out tickets, because, you know, we bought our tickets online at this point, but you didn't have like the QR code on your phone. So I had to explain to a bunch of people who just graduated from the University of Florida, one of the greatest public universities in the United States of America. Just humble brag. So smart people. And I'm like, horizontal, like the hamburger, not vertical, like the hot dog. I'm going to need you to fold it like this and rip it in half to move this process. I lost my voice. It was crazy. People are yelling at me, but this was one of my biggest pet peeves. It was one of my biggest pet peeves at the time, and is now my biggest pet peeves. And yes, Billy, it is a loving marriage. They have a beautiful family, 3 children. They're all precious angels. Anyways, Juice was like,
Juice saw them at the wedding. They
aren't they precious
Yeah,
angels?
I was gonna say, is that the Luke and Leia?
No, they are also precious angels. That's Sarah and Daniel. They have Luke and Leia, and then Megan and Denver, which got married on Avengers weekend, have Sawyer, Miller, and Ever.
Ever's the one who Andrew DeMolanta had to help walk down the stairs.
She is the youngest of all of them.
If I saw pictures or whatever, I'm sure.
You would know them. So anywho, so there we are yelling at people, and then this is where things really got interesting, which is, of course, this is the first time anyone had ever seen the Avengers all on screen together. The Thanos reveal was spoiled to me, obviously, pretty much straight away because I had to clean the theaters and I was working crowd control out that weekend, so I saw that scene a gazillion times before I ever saw the movie. So that was annoying, but whatever. And the shawarma scene, obviously, as well. Basically, my biggest pet peeve was people coming out and telling spoilers in front of crowds of people, / also movie theater employees who were so busy working and attending their sister's wedding that they could not have seen the movie yet. And also trying to rile people up in line and say fake spoilers. So many times I had to stop grown-ass men from telling things about the Hulk, basically. Like, that was my whole weekend, was being like, people in this line are waiting to see this movie, and they've waited a long time, and they've paid money. You will not talk about the Hulk right now in front of them. And, like, had to escort them out security, and, like, the whole thing. So yes, that's my biggest pet peeves, especially when you're going to see big things, your Spider-Man, Doctor Strange coming up. Not only think and be considerate to a theater employee, but like, don't effing talk about the movie until you get into your car. For the love of God, the amount of movies I've had spoiled for me. Because I was just doing my job. So yeah, that is, I don't know. I feel like an hour later, I'm done talking about the movie theater now. I'll hit y'all with that last little Applebee's story at the end. I'm going to stop talking because I feel like I've talked a lot. Okay, thanks.
Bethany, I have to tell you that this is one of the most what the show moments of all time. One of the best. And I love you so much. So we're doing this intro segment about just like a brief overview of everywhere you worked.
Wait, what happened?
We were doing the brief intro segment of everywhere we've worked. Yeah, that's where we were.
All right, so now the show begins. All right, so what's our work stories? What do we got?
That was my work story.
So Bethany still has Applebee's stories to tell. We might be on the air for a while tonight.
I just have a couple. Those are really short. Well, no, because Juice was like, those are all my stories. So I was like, okay, we're telling stories. So I started telling stories.
Yeah.
I was enthralled the
to be fair to Bethany, she was not here for the intro.
Yeah, I was not here for the intro.
Or the briefing.
So I was like, okay, we're telling stories.
But one quick thing about Avengers Weekend. My second job, my actual first, you can call it a real-ish job, was it wasn't working. My first job was the Kmart Garden Center manager at 16. But then I was a Jimmy John's delivery driver, so I turned my high school and college job into a career job, and I was the guerrilla marketing manager for Jimmy John's in Omaha. So soliciting businesses, things like that. I started a house account with AMC Theaters, so we could deliver catering and they could just charge it to corporate, right? Mm-hmm. And we also set up an agreement on the corporate level that people waiting in line for Avengers could get sandwiches delivered in their lobby.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I set that up with them.
That's genius.
So we would deliver platters to their employees, and then we'd hand out menus for people waiting in line, and we could deliver to them. So,
I wish
Avengers Weekend was my first month in that position of that job, and I did that. We set this up with AMC Theaters, and there was an AMC Theater in my back parking lot of my job. So, Jimmy John's back in the day, people would run back and forth. They would be running back and forth in their cars, literally sprinting. I was sprinting across the Jimmy John's parking lot into the AMC parking lot. Wind sprints all night long. It was a cutoff of 8 p.m. Well, it was a cutoff of 9 p.m.
So you didn't. So it wasn't like the little like Jimmy John's bike. Like you just ran over to
ran
deliver.
on foot.
Wow.
that's a lot of cardio.
It's a
I wouldn't
bold
be able to
strategy,
do that
Cotton.
job. That's too much for me. Did everyone get
people on
their
their phones?
delivery quickly? I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming.
Oh yeah, because like, is it worth it for me to get in my car and drive over one bag of food? No, I'm gonna sprint across the parking lot. So that was my Avengers weekend.
That also sounds
I was-
exhausting.
I saw the movie 3 times in theaters opening weekend, by the way.
I didn't get to see it until Monday.
I saw it at midnight. I saw it the next day at like 11 a.m. And then I saw it on Monday. So within the first...
The shawarma end credit scene made a lot more sense after you saw the movie.
Yep.
I was like, now I get it. I do. Okay. Can I just a quick aside about Marvel and their end credit scenes? I know that we all expect it now, and so we wait. And we used to call those people bitter enders, actually, at the movies back in the day.
Because they were just there for...
Because they were just there. Because, again, back in the day, like,
It's respect,
it wasn't, like, common that there was end credit scenes. I mean, every once in a blue moon. But,
Matrix 2 was the first one of any movie I worked with.
But yeah, like sometimes it would be like
Reloaded
like an art house film, and there would just be people sitting, and you're like, oh my god, I just want to clean this movie and like go on to my next theater, you know? So yeah, so good old bitter enders. But anyways, so obviously with something like a Marvel, which I feel so bad for ushers now because Marvel movies come out like every other day, that they have to deal with that all the time. But that I will say, like, I like that Marvel does it because it's fun. It's like little teas or little Easter eggs or whatever. And I like that it forces people to sit through credits, which is good. Like everyone needs to see who the best boy is and what, like, I like that people are, you know, hopefully reading credits and learning things and, you know, whatever. But yeah, from a working in a movie theater perspective, like that sucks a little bit that they do that because yeah, it's very hard to get to see if it's going to be a big movie. It's hard. You're going to be working all weekend that you'll get a chance to see it. And then you do have, you know, these things spoiled. So that's kind of unfortunate, but pros and cons. I get why they do it, but I also I feel the pain of the poor people that have to work the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mike, what's your resume?
So my resume goes back all the way back to 1998. I got my first job. I worked at a bowling alley my freshman year of high school. I stayed there for 4 years.
It's my favorite thing. He worked in a bowling
Super
alley.
illegal too, because I worked until some nights 3 or 4 in the morning as a 15-year-old. It was ridiculously illegal. So a real quick story from that one. I don't have anything.
Wait, William Harold in here, just with a true fact that I actually know. The best boy credit was in Airplane, where they credited Hitler as being the worst boy.
Yep.
It's good.
So again, you know, I was 15 when I got hired for that job. I had no idea like what the hours were going to be. Like, if you were familiar with the bowling alleys in the 90s, depending on what part of the country you're in, some places called it Rockin' Bowl, some places called it Galactic Bowl, some places called it Cosmic Bowl. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
At night, they turn off the lights and put like disco lights on and have a DJ and stuff like that. If we were busy, they would stay open as late as 2 a.m. And if we were that busy, it would take me like an hour or two after we closed to, exactly. Only twice. But, so yeah, there were times I was there till like 3 or 4 in the morning, especially if it was like over a holiday weekend or something like that. But so there was one time there was these regulars, and I was just, you know, dead tired. I'm 17 years old. I have my license at this point. I get in my car, I hit unlock, I go in, and then these drunks get into my car. And I'm like, they were regulars. I knew who they were. I'm like, guys, you got to get out. Guys, you got to get out. And they're like, no, man, we want to party with you. I'm like, so 17-year-old me was just so over the night. I said, fuck it. And I started driving off. And they all got into a panic because I actually left. Like, they thought they were being funny, got in my car. So I just started driving off. And they were like, stop the car. And they jumped out. But, yeah. So that's my story from there. I worked at minor league baseball stadium for 2 years. I love that job, by the way.
Also a sweet gig.
I'm
pretty jealous of that one.
I love that job. When I was going to college initially, my major I was going into at first was sports management. I switched to marketing when I was in college because I didn't want to be so pigeonholed. But when I did my interview there, rather than getting put to like concession stand or anything, they put me in the box office because that was working with the front office staff. So I actually worked in an office, like, you know, it was in the ticketing office, but I worked like an actual, like, 40-hour-a-week job, where as opposed to like the concession people who only work game nights and stuff like that. So I actually got a great experience there. I can actually just very positively say anybody, if you're ever in Long Island, New York, go see the Long Island Ducks. I can fully endorse them. No pretension whatsoever. Go see the Long
And
Island
even
Ducks.
if not watching baseball, there's some great ducks.
So they also the mascot.
Yeehaw!
The mascot is his name is Quacker Jack.
That's delightful.
So yeah.
Respect that.
So yeah, I really don't have anything negative to say about that job. If you're ever in Long Island, New York, go see the Long Island Ducks. I fully endorse that.
I like that you needed to clarify Long Island, New York. Like there's another Long Island.
Touche.
I mean, there probably is, but everyone would assume you meant New York.
There's a Grand Island, Louisiana. There's a Grand Island, New York. Grand Island, Nebraska.
But it's not a Long Island.
Long Island.
No. But one of those places you'd expect to be maybe possibly an island. The other one is
Not an island.
Nebraska.
I don't think are either of them an island. We'll look into that later.
So I'm gonna. My next job is.
Yes, the math is back.
My next job is the movie theater. I'm gonna skip over that for now because I'm gonna come back to that because that's where most of my gold stories are.
Those are good stories.
Okay.
I can attest.
My next story, I worked for a truck rental company. I have one just ridiculous story that I will share real quick. I'll make it as quick as possible.
A truck rental company?
Yeah, I worked for a truck rental. It was Penske.
Moving truck. Oh, okay.
So I worked there for a few years. And basically, like when it comes to truck rentals, essentially the deal is don't destroy the truck, bring it back with the same amount of gas you had when you got it. So this one guy comes in. He came from another state. And first off, he parks the truck on the curb, doesn't even put it into a spot. So I had to come first thing in the morning and move that because it was like illegally parked. And I checked the truck and it has like half a tank of gas when it went out full. And the guy left his GPS in there. So the guy comes in the morning. He's like, I think I left my GPS. And I'm like, he's like, can I get a receipt? And I give him a receipt. And it's like, it's charged for gas because he was not even close to full. And the guy starts screaming at me, just outright screaming at me. He's like, this is ridiculous. Why am I getting charged for gas? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sir, I have no problem. You're here right now. We can remedy this. If you're claiming that it's full, let's go walk out to the truck right now and we'll go turn it on together and see if it's full. And what I will offer you, in the case that it's not, I'll let you take it and get it filled. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. So I'm like, okay. So then I started getting a little smart with them. I'm like, well, I need some sort of proof that the tank is full. So I got smart with him. I'm like, did you take a picture when you went to the gas station that showed the current mileage and said it was full? Yes, I did. He did not. So he's claimed he did. I'm like, okay.
Narrator voice. He didn't.
So the guy's like, I did. I'm like, can I see a picture? If you have a picture or something like that, that's something I could use as proof. I'm not showing you that. I'm like, oh my God. And this guy just demands to speak to my manager. I was at a satellite office where I was the only one there. So I call my manager. I'm like, listen, this truck is not even close to full. And this guy is screaming at me that he refuses to pay anything for it. And is claiming that he has a photo of him filling the tank and then refuses to show it to me. So what's the point of the photo? Regardless, this guy, they were like, just get him out of the office. And then the ironic thing is it gets sent to their office where they had my office did not have a gas station there. It gets sent to the office and they're like, so who do we charge this gas to? I'm like, for fuck's sake, it's the guy that I called and told you about. Anyway, so I worked there for a few years. My next job, I worked at...
Real quick, can I give you my can I speak to your manager moment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so as the general manager store manager of the Fragrance Island in Hastings, Nebraska. No, not Hastings. Why I'm reverting. Gretna, Nebraska. So...
Oh, thank God you clarified, because I would have known the difference.
So, Hastings is my hometown. I was thinking about a Kmart store. It's an entirely different thing. That's where I grew up. It's 3 hours away. So, I have this confrontation with the customer about the fact that we don't have a tester for a fragrance in the store. They keep us budgeted on the corporate level. I can't do anything about it. And the guy's like, well, like, can your manager do anything about it? It's like, sir, do you want me to call my manager right now? It's 8:00 on a Sunday or on a Saturday. It's like, call. So I pick up the phone to the store, right? Pick up the phone at the store. This beer can. This is my phone at the store. Call. I call my phone, right? Put it up to my ear. This is after about 15 minutes of going back and forth by not having a tester on the fragrance. Call, and I go, call, it's ready. And I clutch my pocket. Sorry, I gotta take this. Hi, yeah. Turns out, as the manager of this store, I am fully aware of our process and procedures when it comes to store shrink concerning testers. I am very sorry. I explained this to you.
What did he say after that?
He apologized, mumbled to his friends in, I believe it was Hebrew from my time working at the nail kiosk, the Dead Sea Minerals nail kiosk. It sounded like Hebrew. And then he bought 2 bottles and I never saw him again.
Nice.
2 bottles of the thing he was asking about.
I like that came full circle and we went back to the nail kiosk. Oh,
Yes.
that was good.
Yeah. So I don't recommend doing this. If you guys need like a brief overview of things that I've done and not gotten fired for, if you're closing a store and your boss opens in the morning, line up some bouncy balls next to the register so when they like go to open the register, the till opens up and just pushes bouncy balls all over the store. That's a great one. Or certain things like, hey, this fragrance was made in the fragrance mines of Tunisia. 7 men gave their lives for the bottle I'm holding in my hand right now. Stuff like that. Or the prank that I set up because we're doing this for tomorrow. This guy came into my store. His name is Marquis, so I won't give his last name. But he wanted me to hold something in the back for him because he's going to be there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't work until noon. So I'm willing to rant like this. But Kim is coming in tomorrow morning. I told him Kim will be there for you. Let Kim know that you know her name. Don't tell her why. I've been told that I'm somewhere between like the prank levels of Jim and like the obnoxiousness of Michael Scott to work with and or for.
I see that totally.
Yeah.
To varying reviews in terms of quality. But,
Quality? Quality.
So this guy's gonna come in for this held fragrance and he's going to ask for Kim, but not ask Kim why he knows her. So how is he gonna get the fragrance?
He's just gonna walk in and say, "Hey Kim, how you doing today?" And start a conversation. And then
is he gonna break down walls?
He's gonna wipe down the walls between you and me. And I like that.
I like that.
I really like that.
I really
And
So-
then it's going to lead to this.
Kim, by the way, lovely woman. She's very oblivious most of the time, so she won't even see a bag with his name stapled to it in the back room. I'm leveraging.
him.
Yes, she's wonderful. She's a wonderful person. But oh god, I got her. Yeah, I really like that. Mike, I interrupted you.
This is a complete tangent that's nothing to do with jobs, but can you please tell everyone here on What the Show Tonight what you did on Sunday evening?
So we do a dramatic reading.
Please,
So
please do a dramatic reading. It was our anniversary on Sunday, as we mentioned kind of earlier. Well, I mentioned that our anniversary was this month for people who don't know.
I mentioned it.
Okay, well, I wasn't here at the beginning. I'm sorry, everyone. But anywho, I just sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, this is the best anniversary gift. Like, we were sitting at this Swizzle Lounge at the Command Bay Beach Resort and having a swell time, having a drink, and we're watching these messages come in, and I'm like crying, laughing. It was so good. So it was the best anniversary gift a girl could ask for.
So I, as a joke, and I just like posted a screenshot that I did this. We have this obsession. I maybe have this obsession where of this video of when Garth Brooks first went on Facebook and he made a live video.
It's fantastic.
Oh, it's really.
Yeah.
Again,
so
watch
good.
the John Hoey stream. It's there.
It's you.
So I figured I'm gonna try, and this is gonna be exactly what I posted. I tried to post it from memory and then screenshot and put in the What the Show chat. So the quote is, "Well, it's official. I'm on Facebook." Now, I wasn't sure about it first, but a friend told me to think about it as a conversation. I like that. It's a way to wipe down the walls between me and you, and I really like that. It allows us to wade into each other's worlds, or in this case, hotel room. When I think about the kind of stuff I want to post, cool stuff, real stuff, slick stuff, but most of it's going to be raw stuff like this. So that's who I am. So if this is truly a conversation, I say let the conversation begin.
And boy, did it begin.
The conversation begins with Andreas Uras, who's obviously a crypto bot.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously a crypto bot, like fairly attractive woman. That's a stolen photo, and asked if they could send me a DM, and I am the game is afoot. That's so. She says, "Hello, nice connecting with you. Where are you from?" And I say, "This hotel room. I post cool stuff, slick stuff, but most of it's raw stuff like what you just commented on." Oh, wait. I
just wanted to be known that at no point does AJ deviate from the Garth Brooks
script.
script.
Not at all.
So good.
This conversation went on for a while.
Probably 20, 30 minutes at least.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Juice almost got roped into it.
So she replies, my business proposal is all about earning consistent income weekly. Care to know? And I say, is it raw stuff? Is it wiping down the walls between me and you? Because that's what I really need to know to let this conversation begin. She says, I'm an expert Forex trader. Have you ever heard about Forex or trading the stock market before? Can I think of it more as a conversation? I'd like that. Do you know you can make up to $30,000 within a week of Forex trading? What kind of trading? Is it cool stuff? Slick stuff? It is basically trading on foreign exchanges, stocks, options, and crypto, and making awesome profits from price fluctuation with a reasonable investment. So it's real stuff. I really like that. If you don't have a good trading experience, you will eventually lose your full equity. But that's why I'm here to show you how to do it the right way and make good profits weekly with the right strategy. Does that involve wiping down the walls between me and you? Really proud of that one. With an investment of $2,500, you can make about $15,000 in an account, but controlled by you. There was a B by the C typos. You can decide to start with a lesser amount anyway, but the higher the I am a very verified trainer. That is exactly what it is. But the higher the I am a verified trader, I have about 457 people mirroring my trades and are making amazing profits for themselves with their own account. But for service commission of just 20% of your earnings, up capital, the bigger the profits exponentially. To which I say, well, I guess it's official. We're on Facebook. I think she should take that as a yes. I am a verified trader, and I have about 547 people mirroring my trades and making amazing profits to themselves in their own account, but for a service commission of just 20% of your earnings. So, you're right. I wasn't sure about this at the start, but a friend said to think about this as a conversation. I like that. Just makes all kinds of sense. So I'm not going to read the song one because it's long, but it talks about trading crypto and oil and like the oil price of the end. And I just said, oil? Slick stuff?
That was one of my favorite ones. When you sent us that one the other day, I was dying. I was like, slick stuff. Oh, so good.
Well, we make use of cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin to avoid lost account and shortage processes. So cool stuff. What about raw stuff? I'm not here to burn bridges. I'm here to help others to make sure I get more clients and get promoted. So why wouldn't I want to run away with your money? I can make more when you invest in my platform. I gain after all this getting 10% now of your earnings after you withdraw. See, that's wiping down the walls between you and me. And I really like that. Question marks. She sends question marks. I reply, let the conversation begin. The most profitable online training in the world. Here you can earn up to 20,000 for 2,000 in just a few days, which is great for anyone to trade at any time. Let's say I start trading with $500 and insure 5,000 in just 48 hours.
Just wait. Just wait. It gets to that a little bit.
A little bit. I started trading with 5,000 to earn 500 to earn 5,000 in just 48 hours. But let's think of this as a conversation. I believe you're feeling skeptical about this, but you're gonna have to thank me at the end. Sounds like cool stuff. I just like raw stuff, like this hotel room. Ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Then what happened?
I'm here for business, not hookup. Sorry. But I thought we were wiping down the walls between me and you. That's not what this is. It's cool stuff. Slick stuff. Does this sound like something you are interested in? So I'll tell you what next to do. And I say, is it raw stuff? She says, where are you from? And I say, we're in each other's worlds. In my case, this hotel room. I missed a video call. Everybody, I missed a video call.
That is the biggest regret you've ever had.
So sad about that.
So the actual microphone on my phone doesn't work. I have to plug in headphones, and I didn't find my headphones in time to catch the video call. That's why I missed the video call.
My favorite part was she went on and was like, and she was like, "This is not a hotel room." You're like, "How do you know? It's what hotel rooms look like in Nebraska."
So I missed the video call and says, "It seems you are not interested in trading." And I say, "I'm interested in cool stuff." Like mostly raw stuff like this. And she says, "How old are you?"
Now she sounds like she is into the hookup. She's like, "Wait, how old are you? Is it legal? Maybe."
Age isn't a number. It's just who I am. I attempt an audio call, and that's where this ends.
We'll never know if you and your crypto bot could have been something.
And now
with that, AJ's great Sunday night interlude out of the way, cool stuff, raw stuff, slick stuff, we can get back to the work stories before this goes on forever.
Well, this is going to go on for a while. But, okay, I'm going to just go real quick into other jobs before aside from movie theater. Next job I had was working for my brother-in-law's trading card company. Brother-in-law is the biggest piece of shit on the soon-to-be ex-brother-in-law, biggest piece of shit on the planet. So I'm not even gonna bother dealing with that.
Spike Jones, call me. But yes, you told me a little bit about this, and go.
Okay, and then I started by working in restaurants. I think I've touched on some of those stories before. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going right to movie theater.
Waiting is 100%
a documentary.
I'm just going to let you.
Yep.
You've never worked.
It's a documentary.
The service industry.
Going to interrupt you one more time. Danny-M Moonfall donated $5, saying,
Yeah.
"Sorry for the tangent, but I just want to let you know I watched Moonfall this weekend, and it was so much fun, so crazy. Don't fuck with the moon. I do believe it's important to remind you people that it is a work of fiction." That's how I'm going to say when it's nominated for best documentary
Yes.
this Academy Award season.
Yes. Mega structures. Everyone, cheers to mega structures.
Mega structures.
Woo-hoo! Moonfall! Yes, Danny, I'm glad that you finally saw that masterpiece. It's great.
All right, so now I have a lot of movies from movies, a lot of stories from
movies from the movie theater.
a lot of
Movie
stories
theater,
from the
movie
movie theater. However, I'm going to singularly focus on one employee tonight. This employee's name is Josh. Josh is the greatest employee I have ever worked with at any job ever. So let's get started with Josh. First things first. I'm going to tell you about my original GM. For those who don't know, I worked for Hoyt's, which is an Australian-based movie theater, and then they were bought out by Regal. So, but when Hoyt's was there, it was not
cinema.
Yeah. When it was Hoyt's, though,
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
they did not micromanage at all. So Hoyt's, it was the wild, wild west of movie theaters. You could get away with anything. They were scheduling people like 65 hours a week and not getting away with it. Like Regal takes over immediately. Somebody works like 5 minutes of overtime. The hammer comes down. Hoyt's, they don't give a shit. So just to give you an idea of one of the Hoyt's, and this is when Josh is there.
Also, fun fact, I can't speak on behalf of all movie theaters, but we both worked for Regal. You literally would have to count your cups. You did counts of cups,
100%.
Bags, all that kind of
All
stuff.
of it.
And if
All of it.
your like count was off at the end of your shift, you would like get in trouble.
Oh God! Can I tell you the worst kitchen prank of all time?
The what? The worst is what?
Okay. Now to make it feel like I wasn't a total asshole, it was I was 21 at the time. We had this high school girl working in my Jimmy John's, right?
Okay.
And it was time to clean the ice machine. And it was a super slow day, so I told her like we had to do inventory of the ice machine to make sure it was doing the right production.
You gotta burn. You gotta burn the water from the teeth.
No.
No.
AJ.
So it's not as hard as it sounds. So what I need you to do is take one of these little cone drinking cups, those little cone cups you get to drink out of the soda fountain when you're in a place. I need you to take an average. Like I need you to do like one of those at a time till you get the ice bucket full, and tell me how many cubes were in that bucket. Once that bucket's full, you can just take all the ice out of the machine. And that way we have a good estimate, so we know that the ice machine is producing enough.
Oh,
So sorry that
evil.
This reminds me of a very
There were 7
cringeworthy story.
there were 7 other people working. They could not hold their shit together. Sorry, we let this go for 3 hours.
Yep, of course you did. All right, so I'm gonna move on right now. So our GM there, his name was Steve. Steve spent most of his shift at the Uno's bar that was in the same parking lot as Hoyt's. So that tells you about Steve. Everything you need to know about Steve. So Josh, but this guy was intimidating. Like nobody would ever speak back to him or anything. He'd come in and he's had 6 drinks. He's beat red, and he walks in and whatever he said, everybody's like, "Oh my God, Steve's here! Like, get back to work!" Guy's drunk. And Josh had no problem just speaking his mind to him. One of the first encounters I ever had with Josh, I walked back to the triple sink where you like clean things, and he's definitely just snorting a line back there, just outright in front of everybody. Does not give a shit.
Glorious.
So Josh, called in sick about 10 times that summer. His grandmother died every single time. So in the course of that summer, his grandmother died at least 10 times. At least.
Pouring out for Josh's grandma.
Pour
So-
that out.
So there are 2 legendary Josh stories from this movie theater that I will never forget. I'll go through both of them. The first one, we had a section in our movie theater. It was called Quick Kava. So basically that was like the coffee stand where you could still get popcorn and candy and things like that. But it was, the only place you could get like the coffee or the frozen drinks, like the blended drinks. So he's there one day and this guy comes up to him. If you work in a movie theater, you'll know it's not as much today because it's more self-service. But back in the day, they would ask you if you said, "Can I get a small popcorn, small soda? Would you like to make that a large?" Like you have to do that for the quality assurance, like for your theater checks and everything. If you have a secret shopper and you don't do that, you get in trouble. In my theater, you actually got fired if you didn't do that.
Oh, that's fun.
So if you got chopped and you didn't ask that question, you literally lost your job because of it. So this one guy comes up to him and he orders a small popcorn, small soda. And Josh just okay, doesn't upsell or anything. And so the guy pays him, walks off, is about to leave, and he just looks at his name tag, "Oh, thanks, Josh." Looks at it, and Josh is like, "Motherfucker, that was the shopper. That was the shopper." And he's like, "I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. Oh my God. Oh my God." So I'm standing there. I was a shift lead at the point, so I wasn't behind a counter, but I was one who was not a manager, but in between. And I'm talking to Josh, and one of the other employees comes over, and the other employee is being a smart ass and is like, "Well, they never said when you have to upsell to him." And Josh is his eyes brighten up. He's like, "I think he went into theater 9. So Josh grabs a large popcorn bucket and goes into the theater. And I see this happening, and my manager, Jim, is the best comparison for Jim is Milton from Office Space. Anybody who's seen the movie Office Space, Jim is Milton. Where's my stapler? That is Jim.
I think you told my phone line.
He's like, he asked me, he's like, "What's Josh doing?" I said, so I'm like, "Well, I think he went to that theater to go and offer an upgraded popcorn."
Yes.
So
Todd Kenton were a legend.
Josh goes into the theater. It's theater 9. It's our biggest theater. And he literally walks into the front of the theater and he's like, "Can I have your attention, please? Would anyone like to upgrade their popcorn?"
Everyone that's already bought popcorn and is sitting in a theater.
Literally, he's walking up the stairs looking for the guy, and my manager, Jim, grabs him by the collar and drags him out of the theater.
He's like, "No."
So he gets back, and then he puts him back behind the coffee stand. The coffee stand is one register, so it's one person who works there. So then Jim comes up to me. He's like, "All right, your assignment for the rest of the night is to make sure Josh doesn't leave here." So I had to babysit him for the rest of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, cocaine is not a drug. It is a powerful upselling tool, retrospectively.
That's not the best Josh story.
But wait, there's more. If you call right now.
So a few months later, it's the end of the summer. It's finally died down. We're approaching September. So when, the movie theater, the season's dying down, none of the big releases are coming out. We're finally starting to calm down from a major summer. It was the summer of 2002, which if you look back, there's major releases that summer, almost the whole summer.
Kind of Monte Cristo.
Well,
All
and
that
that too.
matters.
So literally that day, my manager sends me. I had a Chevy Blazer at the time to another theater, just like Bethany had to do, because we were going to replace seats. Now, replacing movie theater seats back then was a pain in the ass. You had to literally pop them into place and remove them with screws. It was not a simple process. You couldn't just put the covers over them. You had to get whole seats to put in there. Mm-hmm. So he sent me to another theater to pick up replacement seats because I had a bigger car. I had my radio on me.
When you have a big car, get screwed.
I have my radio on me while I'm going to this other theater, which is 25 minutes, 30 minutes away, something like that. And
Real quick, Mike, real quick thing. That is why this show is the official sponsor of the 2014 Honda Civic.
Damn straight. Hells yeah. We love Honda Civic.
So I've got the radio on me in the car, and I still am getting it for like the first like 10, 15 minutes of my drive. For some, I guess we had really good radios actually. And they're like, has anybody seen Josh? Has anybody seen Josh? And I'm hearing this communication. Eventually the radio breaks up. I get to the theater, I get some new seats, and I'm coming back. And I maybe 25 minutes, 30 minutes later, I'm on my way back to the theater. And they're still on the radio going back and forth. So, Josh, where's Josh? Anybody seen Josh? He's not on his register. We haven't seen Josh in an hour. Okay. I get back to the theater. I bring all of the seats in, and, people start going in trying to repair seats and all that. And that's kind of a process. And it literally gets to the end of my shift, which is like 5 o'clock. Like I left the theater maybe like 11 or 12, and it's about 5 o'clock. And I'm literally walking out because I'm off that time. And all of a sudden, I'm walking out of the theater, and then there's Josh parking his car and walking back in. And Josh went and got a haircut.
Nice.
So Josh walks in. He's like, I got a haircut. I'm thinking in my head, because we all love Josh. Me and my buddies all love Josh because he was such a lovable doofus. And we're like, we always covered for him. We're like, how the hell do we cover for this guy getting a haircut? Like, how do we say he was in the theater? He visibly has a haircut. How the fuck do we cover for this
Listen,
guy?
he got paid for that haircut, though.
No, well, he got paid by getting fired.
Well, yeah. But he was still being paid while he got that haircut.
Oh, 100%.
Then, yes, then he got fired. But
Guys, we got a $10 donation from Jeff saying, I'm here for the slick stuff, the real stuff, mostly the raw stuff.
hell yeah.
I really like that.
I really like
I
that.
like that. I just
really
randomly
like
thought of a couple. This is not as good as the Josh story. There's a couple more movie theater stories. One is how a couple of us stalked Emmett Smith once at the movies when we were working. Again, college town, Gainesville. A lot of times, old players come back for different special Hall of Fame events or different things, whatever. And so it was during football season, and we had to do theater walks during, that was a Regal policy or whatever. And so this one guy, Xavier, who was one of our lead ushers, goes into theater too. And he knows I'm a big sports fan. And so he comes out and he goes, go do a theater walk in 10 minutes in that theater. I think Emmett Smith is in that theater. And I was like, Xavier, it is dark. There are a lot of people. I am not gonna be able to spot Emmett Smith in the dark. And he's like, just go in there. I'm telling you, Emmett Smith is in that theater. And I'm like, okay. So I go into theater too. And I'm like, he kind of pointed out where he was.
And then he sold him a large popcorn.
So I'm like, he upselled. And it was Emmett Smith. He's got the money. So he was like, yeah, of course. Came in a Super Bowl ring. No, I'm just kidding. So I go in there and I'm like, it's really dark, but Emmett Smith's pretty recognizable. Yeah, I think it's Emmett Smith. It makes sense that he would be here. So I walk back out or whatever. And then at this point, we have 4 different people go into this theater to check on the fact that it's Emmett Smith or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Who's to say that wasn't the case? You're cleaning theaters, you get gunky stuff on you all the time. So anywho, long story short, we were in the same parking lot as a Walmart, and one of my managers went and bought a football real quick at the Walmart, and then when the theater let out, stood there with the football that Emmett Smith signed it. All because we stalked him. And so even in a dark movie theater, just so everyone knows, I can still tell if you're Emmett Smith. So that was kind of a funny thing. And the other thing we did, so Stars of Hope is a big thing every summer. It was really annoying, actually. And you would get pushed out of box office if you weren't selling enough Stars of Hope. And we were the seriousness of which they took Stars of Hope was insanity. But anywho, so again, obviously during this time, you had a lot of different football players coming in and out or whatever. Some that might go on to have good NFL careers. Most of them probably not, but you never knew. And so me and my friends in box office would because you would get a star to put your name on and put up in the theater or whatever. But basically it was our way to get football players autographs. We would and have them pay us. So the movie theater, but charity. So we'd be like, hi, we're taking donation Stars of Hope. Would you like to donate, $1? So, you pick your chair, St. Jude or whatever. And most of the time they'd be like, okay, yeah. And then we're like keeping that one. And then you would just
What
like keep
show?
those
Yeah.
stars of like any football player who like signed your star.
I have
So that was always fun.
related story to Stars of Hope. It was right after I left the theater, but I got multiple people who told me this. For a brief period of time, Michael Jackson was in the area where my theater was and went there a few times. When the Simpsons movie came out, they had a gigantic standee of the couch that was meant for like a photo op that had all of them on the couch, but had a spot for you to sit in. And he literally went up and asked them how much it was for him to buy that. And they were like, that they contacted the GM and he's like, I don't know, tell him if he makes a $10,000 donation to Stars of Hope, we'll give it to him. He did it.
That's
So-
fantastic.
No
By the
one's
way,
being
I do have to
worth it.
corroborate something really quick about Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith, much like Sasha Swan, if you're watching the show right now, I will give you $100 to come on our show next week.
I'm not sure Emmett Smith would come on, but I
will give you
I hope that
$100.
he would.
Emmett
He
Smith.
seems like a really nice guy, so let's hope. He did not seem bothered by the fact that we were very not respectful.
If you
of
need
him.
the money, Emmett Smith.
If you need the money, I'm sure you're hurting Emmett Smith. Juice, do you have some more work stories for us?
All right. So that one story that AJ told about the ice cubes kind
You
of
think we could
reminded
get
me
Emmett
of a.
Smith to call Jeff a jabroni, asking for a friend.
I'm checking Cameo right now.
Carry on, Juice.
That
Sorry.
reminded me of like one of those like really cringy stories for myself. That like one of those like I wish I could like flush it out of my like memory. But when I worked at the sausage factory, I worked this.
Every story should start with when I worked at the sausage factory. That's just such a good intro.
It's great. So I was part of like the relief crew. So basically, when people would take their lunch breaks or their afternoon breaks, we were the ones that like took over their part of the line. So that's what I did for the most part. And so I worked with pretty much all ladies that were like 30 years older than me for the most part. And then like we had one girl that was like around my age. Around my age, she's probably like my age now. But
But at the time, you were like,
the time,
this
but, like,
young.
she was, like-
Compared to the other people,
Yeah.
yeah, she was like you're in your age bracket.
So yeah, exactly. She was in my bracket. So and we got along, even though I'm pretty sure she was like, I don't know if she either made it even like had a boyfriend or was engaged to somebody or something like that. But we got along and we made a lot of jokes and played along. So like there was one point where I knew like we were scheduled to we were gonna be like we're not going to work together. Like that was a fact. Like she was gonna be on one side, I was gonna be on the way other. And at one point, I had like a little bit of power to be like, yeah, somebody should move over there. So I made up this whole like elaborate plot to be like, I went up to everyone during our break and I was like, yeah, so we're going to switch things around a little bit. So like, you're going to move around there. I went up to everyone, like, you're going to move around there. You're going to move around there. All just to make it so that me and the girl could work next to each other.
Yeah.
And I get to her and I'm like, all right, so you're going to like, so like, yeah, we're going to do this. I'm going to move around and yeah, you'll work there. And then she just looks at me and she's like, why? And I'm like, what? We're launching a new plan. We're going to, we're starting to establish this, you know, and things like that are going to start happening. And she's like, okay. And we work together. Same normal shift, but
Aw, Juice.
it was
you were
weird.
like trying to be a smooth operator, and she was like, "Why?" And that
did not work out. It's great. That's
All
like
right,
it.
I'm gonna step aside for just another second.
But
Okay. Well, I'm gonna wait until AJ comes back to tell my short but sweet, my last story of the evening, my Applebee's story. I probably know I've told you all this before. I'm not sure. I feel like I quote this quote a lot. Can I just say I think all people that work at Applebee's deserve sainthood. It's a real shit job. That like whole thing though about like line cooks, you know, like hosts and servers flirting with line cooks, like creepy line cooks to get free food though, that's 100% true from like the Crapplebee's days. Like the little hosts would go and like be like, oh, hey, John, or whatever. One time I went out with a couple of my friends downtown that I worked with, and Applebee's, of course, is open pretty late, so I went to like 2 a.m. And so we were drunk. We had a DD. Don't worry, everyone, we're being safe. And so we're like, if we just go and like walk into our kitchen at Applebee's right now, like the line cooks will give us free food. And so we did. Like we just went into Applebee's late at night, and they gave us like chicken fingers.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, Meryl. I'm like, you know, we were like young girls who were dressed cute because we'd just been downtown, and he was like, oh, hey, girls. And yeah, so that whole like stereotype, 100% true of all chain restaurants. Like you just, the young girls just flirt with the line cooks to like get free food. Yeah, surprisingly, Applebee's had a lot of regulars. I was bartender there for a couple of years, and we did actually have a lot of regulars, which is kind of funny. Karaoke nights, oh man, y'all don't even know. That's insane. Damn, I don't know, I'm vamping. Oh, AJ's back. Okay, I'm gonna tell my last. Oh yes,
okay,
go ahead.
You go. Oh, I go. So Tivana, the weirdest fucking Tivana story is
I'm
absolutely amazing. Tivana, high-end luxury loose leaf teas, Imperial Reserve crops. My big thing that I was telling people is if you're trying to sell our highest end product, you try to show to everybody that you possibly can. So this guy comes across the Tivana, another thing where we sample into the mall. Hey, guys, try some tea, blah, blah, blah. So bring this guy in. He is very obviously homeless. And my big thing was, don't assume what people make, just connect and blah, 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 and do the thing. So this guy, you know, I show him some delicious, sweet, fruity tea samples. Like, do you have any black tea? He's like, let me show you the best black tea we carry. This is Gold Monkey black tea. This is the kind of, this is the same crop of black teas that China shows U.S. presidents when they meet with diplomats, right? That's the crop that I show him. It's like the one thing that I mention is like if you're caffeine sensitive, might be something that you kind of cut yourself off after a certain time frame. And he says, I don't care about the caffeine. I'm on crack.
And you're like, touche, man.
To which I say, yeah. And he says, what? And I say, what? And then he runs out the fucking store.
So you never tried to sample that black tea. Oh, man. Oh, no, people don't like it.
He would have been able to try it. But he's like, I'm on crack. Yeah.
He just bolted.
What? Bolt.
Oh, man. I hope he's doing good wherever he is. I hope he's all right.
You know, if he's still on crack, you know, like he's had a long, healthy usage of it. Just hope that he's using it clean. Or you know, if he's healthy, if he's off it, yeah, even better.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's my last
Dude seemed to really love crack though. Sorry, what?
Funny work tidbit for the evening, and then I don't know. This has gone on for almost 2 hours, so we should probably wrap it up because we have to work in the morning. Hey, see, it's all related. Or well, if anyone else has one final story as well, I'm just going to start the round off of one final stories. Okay, so Applebee's, again, the weirdest experience of my life. I learned a lot about working in restaurants from it, though, so I will always be thankful for that. But it was overall a real shit job. I think I don't know, I'm a masochist for staying and working there for like 4 years. But I did meet a lot of good people, friends to this day. Great people worked there. Some great experiences. Anyways. Sometimes, again, I was saying earlier, we were open to like 2 a.m. So certain times, if you were working late, you would hit a lull. Like if it was a karaoke night, it's just popping off until 2 a.m. But obviously other times on a random Tuesday night, at a certain point, who's coming to eat at Applebee's. So anyways, I'm standing up at the host stand, and because it was at the point in the night we went ahead and cut the host, and then the servers were just sort of the closing servers, were responsible for like, you see someone walk in, seat them, So I'm standing at the host stand because I have like no tables. I've done pretty much all my side work, whatever. And this woman walks in with a very small child, fairly late at night, but whatever. I'm not a parent. Who am I to judge? I'm judging a little bit, but who am I to judge? And the little kid, of course, we have like the classic Applebee's neon sign outside. And of course, it is in red and green colors. And so this little kid's like, Mommy, look, it's Christmas. And the mom just goes, and to this day, I quote this a decent amount. This ain't no damn Christmas. It's Applebee's. And I was like, if that doesn't sum up the Applebee's experience. So this ain't no damn Christmas. It's Applebee's. It's my favorite Applebee's story. I'm like, they walked in the door and I'm there and I have to like greet them. And I had to like hold in a laugh because I just thought it was so great. Like just the dry tone she said it, the like little kid being so excited about this. And again, like, most parents are just like, oh yeah, sweetie, oh Christmas or whatever, and this mom was like, no, I'm a dash your hopes and dreams right now, little girl. This is Applebee's. It ain't no damn Christmas, and I loved it. So I was like,
I gotta say, this is the most print the shirts moment that I've ever had. Oh
yeah.
I don't know how I haven't in the last whatever, like 8 years of my life, not printed that on a shirt.
Seriously,
I quote that. We used to quote that. Because again, I'm the only one who heard it, and I go and I tell like there's only 3 other people working, you know, at that point, at least front of house. Obviously, there's still some back house people. And I told everyone, and they're like, that's the greatest thing. I was like, table 32. You will not believe what this woman just said. Like, put it on a shirt. If that doesn't sum up Applebee's, like, fantastic. And to this day, I will just like say that occasionally, like about a certain situation. Like, this Christmas with Applebee's. Anyways,
like, Applebee's should use that.
That should really be their slogan. I'm just saying.
We're
going like.
Listen, if you're looking for Christmas, sorry, we ain't that. But you know what? It's Applebee's.
All right, Juice. Juice, what's your last story?
I'm trying to get one. I'm like, man, I'm trying to pull one from my brain.
While we do that,
John
Getz does have a Streamlabs.
I'm trying to do it all night. I don't know if it's going to happen the next.
I specifically avoiding seeing my one manager outside of work because she had a fiance, and one day I was worried, that she'd make a move. Apparently, she talked about me a lot to him, though. Apparently, she talked about me a lot, though, because he came in and glared at me stocking shelves for a few hours one day. A few hours. Ladies and gentlemen, he glared at her for a few. Wait, was this sexual or violent or both?
You need those both.
John Getz, we okay, comment will do. Was this sexual, violent, or both? Because I don't.
Yeah, can you comment, please, John? We need to know.
It's imperative.
But the women of Ukraine appreciate your donation, so thank you.
Yes.
Everyone tonight for sending a chance.
Anyone who says them, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we have $30 to women of Ukraine tonight.
We're gonna keep doing this all April.
Yeah, and reminding everyone to thank their theater employees when you go.
Thank your theater employees when you see
all
Dr.
April.
Strange.
We're going to be doing both these things.
Yeah. We have the important response of violent, I think, but I was not open-minded to the alternative since this is my first time seeing this guy. It probably wasn't his first time seeing you. With that, why the fuck is Quiz Show here? You have
motherfucker. You know what?
You're a jabroni.
I started a podcast. This is something I consider to be a job, and I have to deal with this shit. So you know what I'm going to do right now?